Hey my loves, welcome back, or if we've never met, hi, I'm Ty. Today we're going to be looking at the Star card in the Tarot. This is a card that's all about hope, especially after the devastating events of the Tower. And just like Lottie said in Yellow Jackets, there is no such thing as false hope. This is a response to the tag Top Tarot Trumps started by Marsha of Musings by Marsha. So today I'm going to be showing my 5 favorite Star Tarot cards from different decks, and I'm going to talk a little bit about what this card means to me. So for me, first of all, the star represents hope, but it also represents faith. And I think faith can be defined a number of different ways. Obviously, we have the spiritual kind of faith, which I think this card sometimes shows up when we're being encouraged towards spiritual seeking or spiritual practices, or when our spiritual faith has recently been tested and we're being reminded to stay on our path. But there's also a kind of faith in the self, that trust that you can have in yourself, that you know which way to go and which choices to make, trusting your own intuition and your own internal compass. And then thirdly, I think there's a kind of social faith, a faith in other people. In modern tarot systems, the star card is associated with the astrological sign of Aquarius, which I think of as being a sign very much about society and social progress. So I think this card can be about having faith in social groups and the ultimate goodness of people, and the impact that we can all have when we share and connect interpersonally. So the first example that I wanted to show today is this one from the Cosmic Tarot. This is also the artwork that's on the box, and it's pretty much what made me buy this deck. I just really, really love this one. I think it might even be my number 1 favorite star card. I just really love this kind of serene, dark, nighttime atmosphere that this artwork sort of evokes. Everything about it is just so serene and so beautiful. It's exactly the kind of atmosphere that I think of when I think of the star. It's inspiring, it's calm, it's breathtaking almost. Just being a part of a place that's so natural and so peaceful. The guidebook says that this card means beauty, inspiration, hope, brilliance, and clarity, but also the word unconventional, which I love, and I think it really ties back to that Aquarian nature. The sign of Aquarius is always a little bit unconventional, in my opinion. They're often a leader or an early adopter, someone who starts a trend or brings about progress, and I think that's a type of hope that we can hold on to, especially right now. The hope of the unconventional, the holding on to and the reveling in our unconvention, because the unconventional is beautiful and divine. This next card is from the Animal Totem Tarot, and it's got a quite similar sort of nighttime color scheme and atmosphere going on, which I just think is so gorgeous. We have, of course, a oyster with a nice shiny pearl in it, and I love these little, I don't know what you'd call those, glimmers, glittery sort of effect that's put around it in a kind of halo as the stars that you would normally see on the star card. We also have that bright lighthouse in the background. And the guidebook talks about how a pearl is actually an immune response from the oyster. So when something irritates the oyster, something that's not supposed to be there, which can be sand or a piece of shell or grit or a little sea critter of some kind, whatever it is, the oyster's immune system starts to surround that irritation with layers of mineral deposits. So it's the threat or the irritation that creates that pearl. The book also talks about this card very much in the context of wishes. And the process of wishing, it says, is two-sided. So not just the requested wish, but also what you would give to have that wish granted. I really like this perspective because I think it's healthy to try and balance giving and receiving, asking and providing. It says that this card can show up not only when you're making wishes or having them granted, but also when you can grant someone else's wish, which I think is a gorgeous perspective. It's a really wonderful thing that we can all hold on to and to hope for, is that we all have something valuable that we can provide and we can assist others with. We all have skills or resources or knowledge that we can share, and we all have this power to grant somebody's wish. This next one from the Ancient Egyptian Tarot is another of my favorites. This card shows Isis and also Thoth, who appears as an ibis. And once again, I guess I have a bit of a type when it comes to favorite star cards. I just love this sort of dreamy nighttime atmosphere with the dark sky. The 2 deities on this card are very interesting to me because they're 2 that have really spread quite far in terms of occult practices and recognition over history. So myself being a Hellenic pagan, I of course am going to think about their syncretization with Greek figures, Thoth being associated with Hermes, So a psychopomp, one who can traverse the realms of the living and the dead, traveling across this world and the next, and therefore carrying wisdom between those two worlds. So he's very heavily associated with wisdom and wise counsel, which I think is something that's great to take from the star. And of course, we have lovely Isis, who's one of the most famous Egyptian goddesses. She was often associated with magic, but also with protection, motherhood, and the afterlife. There are some myths in which Isis actually seeks help or counsel from Thoth, so showing these two on this card makes me think about asking the divine for guidance, which is a great reminder when you get this card. So whether that's through meditation, divination, trance, however it comes for you personally, it makes me see this card as being about listening to the divine or the source, just listening and just being in tranquility. Which is exactly what this next one is encouraging us to do. This is from the Fyodor Pavlov tarot. And in this version of the star, choices have been deliberately made to show the absence of activity. So the guidebook says that this card is very specifically not an active card. It's a card about healing, calm, and patience. That's why this artist has chosen to draw the figure not pouring the water like this card usually would, but just sitting with fingers interlocked, because it shows that this is the point where all of the work has been done. We don't need to interfere in the process any further. Now is just the time to rest and reflect. And the quote that it says is, "to make sense of what has passed and what is yet to come," which I think is beautiful. Sometimes we don't have to look for necessarily something to do. Sometimes we just need to be reminded to do nothing. And then finally we have this card from the Renaissance Tarot. And after the previous four, I will admit that perhaps the artwork on this one is not my favorite. For one thing, we do have some iris in the background, which if you've seen my video on temperance, then you'll know all about why I love iris. But another thing that I like about this card is, of course, just mentioning Hermes before was not enough for me. I got to bring some more Greekness in. So this card, in the top corner, we have Astrea and her symbol, the swan. So Astrea is a nymph who is now the constellation Virgo, which Virgo is not the sign that we typically now associate with this card, but I think it's a very interesting kind of tie-in. So in the myths, Astrea used to walk the earth among humans during the so-called Golden Age, and she represented purity and justice, so just her presence was kind of a blessing. But when the Golden Age ended, humanity apparently became more materialistic and selfish and brutal in a way, and so for her protection, Zeus sent Astrea, who was now just too pure for this corrupt world, to be among the stars. And it's said that that's where she still dwells, as the constellation of Virgo, the maiden or the virgin, which is right beside Libra, or justice, which is something else she was associated with. And this seems like a bit of a depressing note to end on, I know, but actually, some of the stories say that someday Astrea will return and herald a kind of new golden age for the Earth. And I think that's why she's been placed here as the star card, because she represents hope. So she's the hope that someday the world and humanity will be more and will be better, and will be worthy of her return. We just need to keep, stoking those fires of hope and each playing our part and believing that progress is possible. So these have been my top 5 favorite star cards. I really hope that each and every one of you is able to experience some star moments right now, doing as well as you possibly can be. Thank you again to Marsha for starting this tag, and thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you all for being here. If you enjoyed this video, I'd love a like. Feel free to subscribe if you're not already, and if you are, thanks, that's very cool of you. Take care, look after yourselves and each other, and I'll see you in the next video.